Football coaches be paid more than teachers. I'm talking about in high school. I'm talking about 2 or 3 times as much. Eric Sadenheimer had a great article in the Times about salaries high school football coaches make. Here's the point of the story. Good high school football coach can make more than $100,000 a year. Teachers make in the neighborhood of $50,000. Administrators will argue a good football program has residual effects, especially in private schools, where alumni are more inclined to donate to the school if the program is high profile and successful. Teachers would argue that it's prioritizing athletics over academics and sends a dangerous message. Is it fair? Maybe not. But I think it's the price of doing business. Colleges know that all too well. What do you think about it at the high school level, Ron?
Well, the colleges are completely outrageous and way beyond that, where there's coaches making millions. In this case, it's the teachers who have to take some responsibility. Their union keeps them from making 6-figure incomes for adding value, achieving great outcomes and results, and doing a great job. They could change that and agree to merit pay, which has been proposed for a long, long time as a way of rewarding real success. 6-figure teachers, I'm all for it, but they should have to earn it. These coaches, yeah, they produce a lot of value, a lot of the core spirit of the school. They have to work year-round virtually to do their jobs. It's hard work, and it's a high-profile job in which the reputations of the school, because of the importance of football, rest on it. It's up to teachers to want the 6-figure incomes and to rewrite their contracts, if you ask me.
What do you think, Deb?
I don't seem to understand why it is that the value of sports goes over the value of education. I understand to a certain extent they bring a certain merit to a program because they get students in. But a lot of this is in private schools, and private school numbers are dropping off. And these men, these coaches are making clearly $100,000 or more in a lot of these private schools. Now, how does that figure into education as the flip side of the same coin? How many of those students who are in these football programs actually go on to be professional athletes? How often do the teams that they coach win? I mean, there's a lot of criteria to look at. And I understand that they're doing a job that covers many bases. But then again, so does the educator. Because in a classroom nowadays in the 21st century, and as it was in the 20th century, they're not only teachers and educators, but a lot of times they're social workers. They find out what's going on with the kids. They've got to protect themselves. They've got to watch themselves. And when they offer education, they're offering something that really applies for a lifetime. I think the influence is much greater, and I think teachers deserve much, much more.
But can we agree that a good football coach, a good athletic program, certainly shines well in the school, encourages people to go, and builds a sense of community?
If that's a part of the criteria in a private school, maybe or maybe not. But why is that more important than education? And why is the job that they do, regardless of the time that they do it in, so much more valuable than a teacher who touches lives in so many different ways, including the social aspect?
Well, and I think Ron made the point, though, that if the teachers want to make $100,000 a year, they can't have a union determining how much money they make. They have to be judged on merit.
True. This is true.
All right. Last topic. Let's go. We know virtually anything goes on reality TV. We also know reality isn't always reality. But in Australia, the reality is a lot of people are upset about this new show. An Aussie filmmaker has been placing ads saying virgins wanted. He wants to sell them. The premise of the show, virgins agree to be auctioned off to lose their virginity. The creators of the show had to move the auctions to Las Vegas because it's the only place they couldn't be prosecuted for what many are calling prostitution. The virgins will get $20,000 plus 90% of the auction price. Selling your virginity for a reality show. Has reality TV hit a new low, Deborah?
It absolutely has. It's a debacle. And what I don't understand is, although we tend to look at other countries, European countries, and we go, wow, they're so liberal, they're so progressive, and we can sometimes be backwards in the United States and a bit prudish. This is a clear example of why I'm glad I'm an American and prudish about it, because it's a debacle. But more than it being a debacle, reality television has hit such a new low that there are going to be hundreds of women willing to do that, getting their price of fame, and not with any repercussion thinking about their psychological, their mental, their emotional, their spiritual health and well-being, their physical health and well-being at all. We're raising a dumb society, and therefore things this stupid happen all the time, whether they're in another country or brought here to the United States in a state like Nevada. Because if you know what, if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. And unfortunately, so many countries like Australia fall for something ridiculous like this and get away with it because it's pure capitalism.
Ron, what do you think?
Well, I think it's the Australian convict culture coming straight through. There's probably some women out there would want to sell it more than once on this show, I'd bet. Reality TV disgusts me, to tell you the truth. It's based on humiliation. Almost all of these shows engage in it. People come on and make fools of themselves for some, absurd belief that they're getting a moment of celebrity in the limelight. The shows just reduce them to pathetic human beings. I mean, I can't really watch this stuff. My wife has turned me on to Project Runway, a fashion show that I found interesting, where talents were being put forward, where people were doing something creative, and it has an aspect of losing and humiliation. But most of this stuff is disgusting, and I got to tell you, this one is so over the top, so far out. Only the Australians would think of trying to pull this kind of a show off. It's a terrible idea in a terrible form.
All right. Well, you know what? I think we all agree with our final one here on that. Ron and Deb, always a pleasure. Good job, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.